Hey guys, Curt here from Howe Patio Window Company. I just wanted to walk you through today a few choices that you're going to want to make if you're getting your windows replaced. So if you're thinking about getting your windows replaced, you know, it's a fairly sizable investment to have that work done, get windows that you're going to be happy with. And so you want to think ahead about some of the questions that we're going to ask to make sure that you're prepared to make the decisions that you need to make in regards to your windows. So the first thing as far as windows go is most window brands have like a good, better, best quality. So you're gonna wanna kind of look at your options as far as like glass and insulation quality, air intrusion, things like that, what your budget looks like, you know, if you're trying to save on utility costs on a monthly basis. We're gonna show you a couple of options if we're doing a quote for you to show you what good, better, and best look like as far as window grade and efficiency. The second thing you're going to want to choose is, do you want a vinyl window or a wood window? Some people just really love wood windows and they like that look, they like the feel of them, it feels more natural and authentic. My advice would be, if at all possible, try to stick with a vinyl window. Wood windows, especially here in West Michigan, are going to be prone to taking on moisture, and over time they tend to have more problems. They're a little more upkeep and more things can go wrong with them. But if you really like the wood look and you want to get a vinyl window, you can consider an option kind of like this window over here. It looks like wood, but this is actually a vinyl window with like a wood grain coating. There's different colors available. So there are different options, but you're going to want to decide, do you want to go with a vinyl window that's going to be lower maintenance and probably perform better over time, or are you really dead set on using a wood window? The next option is interior and exterior color. It's definitely the trend right now to have a dark framed exterior color of the window. So you can see this window that I have here, the extrusion of the window is actually white, but the exterior is black, and on this sample, the interior is black as well. Some people want to use black on the exterior with white on the interior, or beige exterior. So there's going to be a number of color options. The color options are typically an upgraded cost, but it's definitely something you're going to want to think about. The exterior color of your window definitely affects your curb appeal. When you pull up to your house, that kind of first reaction that you feel when you see your home, it's definitely going to play into that. So it's one of the things you're going to want to think about. Do you want to explore any color options with the interior or exterior of your window? Next, and this one's probably the biggest one that we talk about the most, is the style of the window. There's double hung windows like these ones here behind me, and a double hung window allows you to raise the bottom and lower the top, and then you can also tip in both parts of the window, and this is really convenient for washing the window instead of getting out on a ladder on the outside of the house trying to wash your windows from up high. You just tip your glass in, wash your window, and then put it back, and then it works just like before. So that's a double hung window. Another option is what's called a single hung window. And a single hung window, the top is going to be fixed and stationary, and the bottom is going to go up and down. Now the advantage to single hung windows is they are a little cheaper. They're a little more affordable because there's less hardware inside. And another advantage to single hung windows is they're quite rigid. Double hung windows and large window frames can start to get a little wobbly. Not once they're installed, but during installation they can be a little trickier to install. And so a single hung window can be, one, more economical, and two, just a little bit more rigid of a frame, which is nice. Makes them hold up longer and less hardware issues over time. The next option as far as window style goes is a casement. Some people call these crankouts, so you can see this one next to me here. I turn the little crank and the window swings open, and then I crank it back shut, and then I can latch it. Casement windows are great. They let in a lot of air, and they can be great for egress windows, like for in the basement or something like that, or upstairs if you need to meet egress for fire code or something. But casement windows, in my opinion, over time are a little bit more maintenance and can be prone to other issues because that window's swinging out. If it gets left open in the weather and water gets in with the hardware, it can start to cause it to malfunction. Also, sometimes with more inexpensive windows, the hardware is doing a lot more work than with like a double hung or a slider. And so hardware is definitely something very important to think about with a casement window. Is this hardware going to hold up over time? The next window option to think about is a picture window. And that's just like it sounds, just one fixed piece of glass. A lot of times you'll see these in the front of homes, in the living room where there's a big window. You'll see a picture window there, or sometimes in like stairwells, sometimes maybe in a bathroom. If you have a vent in your bathroom already, some people just want a piece of frosted glass or just a picture window in their bathroom. And then the last option as far as windows go, like style of window, is a hopper window. Mostly we see these in the basements, like a small window and it swings out like this. And hopper windows, like I said, are typically used in basements, but sometimes we see them up high. Like if someone has a really tall ceiling in their kitchen and they have windows up above their cabinets, they might have hopper windows up there. So those are the styles of windows that you're gonna wanna think through. And then another thing that becomes a subject of discussion many times is the grids or grills of the window. So you don't have to pick them. I always joke that half the time people don't have grids, they choose to get them with their window replacements, and half the time they do have them, they choose to get rid of them. A lot of people that have grids are like, oh, we hate those things. And other people who don't have them think, oh man, my house would look so much better with them. 100% just a style preference. So grids look like this. They're pieces of plastic or vinyl that are either clipped over the window or built inside of the glass. Slight upgrade cost, but in the scheme of things, not that expensive at all. And there's different styles that are available. So this is something that we can walk you through when we're doing a proposal for your home. But this is like a traditional grid style, but there's also styles where grids are close to the sides and then kind of open in the middle. So if grids are interesting to you, if you're considering a window replacement, make sure you give that some thought, and that's something we're definitely going to want to talk about. And then last but not least is the window trim. So when a window is replaced, if we're doing what's called a pocket replacement, typically we don't have to do much with the interior trim unless you want to. So sometimes people just elect while we're doing the windows to upgrade the trim or change it. The trim around the window can really change the look of your home. So some people elect to have that done at that time, but it's typically not necessary with pocket replacement windows. But then when it comes to exterior trim, there's a lot of options. And the more extensive the work that's being done on the exterior of your home, like if you're doing a full siding replacement, the more creative you can be with the trim that goes around your windows. So going back to the sample I've got here, you can see this trim sample that's kind of clipped onto the side. Kind of gives you an example of like an optional trim upgrade that comes as part of the window. And a lot of people right now are electing to use the trend for wide trim around the windows, maybe not using shutters as much. And there's quite a few different ways to accomplish that wide trim look. We can get the window pre-built with that trim. We can install a border board around the window and wrap it with aluminum. We can install what's called AZAC, like a PVC trim around it. There's a lot of different options when it comes to trimming out the exterior of your windows. As a default, if we're doing pocket replacement windows, we're gonna insulate the window frame and then use a tool called a brake to custom bend aluminum and cover the trim on the outside. And this protects the window. But while we're doing that, if you wanna consider upgrading the exterior trim of your home in some way, it's definitely the time to do it. So these are the things we're gonna be talking through as we're talking about your window project. So if you're thinking about having windows replaced here in West Michigan, make sure you're kind of thinking about these things going into it, and here at Howe, we'd love to help you with your project. Thanks for watching, everybody.